Coming up today on That LTD Life, Kanban board your heart out. We've got a Trello replacement that's self-hosted. You can run it on your own WordPress website. It's called FluentBoards, and you might be familiar with the Fluent moniker when it comes to WordPress plugins. It integrates with Fluent Forms, Fluent Support, and Fluent CRM. So if you're in that ecosystem, this tool will be particularly interesting to you. I've got their sales page up here. It looks like they're running some type of a sale, but there's no clear indications on when that sale might be ending, but let's break down the plans. There are 3 available. Typically, a single site lifetime deal is $249. It's currently discounted to $149. 5 sites is going to be $499, and that is discounted to $299. And then unlimited sites, they're saying the usual price is going to be $1,000, but that's discounted to $599. Now, this plugin came out about 2 months ago, so it's still fairly young, but it has had a little bit of time to get a few updates, and hopefully we're going to be evaluating it at a fairly stable place. Now, I will say that I'm going to be nitpicking this plugin. I'm going to point out every feature that I don't like, as well as those that delight me. I'll mention things I would love to see added, as well as features that I didn't expect that I think are really great. I'm going to give you an honest opinion here, and you can expect nothing less than that at this channel at all times. Now, there is a free version of FluentBoards. You can install that on the WordPress repository, but the paid version is going to give you a lot more integrations, just basically the pro features you're probably going to eventually want. One of the features is called Fluent Roadmap, which allows you to build a roadmap for your product or your service, and then allow people to vote on certain aspects of it. So we'll take a look at that feature. It's brand new. It just came out in the last week. So I've got a WordPress website over here, and I've already installed FluentBoards on it. I've got both the free as well as the paid version, and let's go through the setup process. So I'm going to go ahead and give my first board a title. Now, you might be wondering, what can I use this for? Well, I'm going to set up a project management board, but you could really use it for anything. It's going to integrate with Fluent CRM as well as Fluent Support. So it could be support tasks. It could be a sales pipeline. Your heart can run wild with whatever you want to do with Kanban boards. All right, step 2 here is to define our stages. These will be the columns that we can move the cards between. So it defaults to open, in progress, and complete. Now, because I'm doing a project management style board, I'm going to do a couple other columns here. I'll do internal review and client review. And now I'd like to reorder these, but it doesn't look like there's any way for me to do that at this stage of the game. Of course, I could just retype everything, but I'm going to leave it as is, and hopefully I can reorder it later on. We will find out. Moving to step 3, let's create our first task. So I've added my task here, update hero image. So, imagine a client has asked you to update the hero image on their website. I've added it, and here we go. I'm in a platform that looks very, very much like Trello. I think they probably studied the user interface and reproduced it almost identically. Just for reference, here is the template for project management from Trello. And yeah, we are pretty darn close to the Trello interface. All right, first things first is I want to reorganize these lanes. So I'm just going to drag it over, and yep, it works beautifully here. So I've got open, in progress, internal review, client review, and complete. Now, here is my task that I created during the setup process. I can click on that and see all of the information about that particular task, including who it's assigned to, currently no one. I will add myself, give it a due date, how about next week, set the priority level. And there's a labels section over here. This might be kind of like a tagging system. So let's say this was, how about for a particular client, I could say this is widgetsite.com, and then all of the tasks related to that particular website will have that label attached to it. And we'll see what that looks like on the Kanban. You actually see it in the modal pop-up here, but I'll show it to you in a moment. We've got a description field. So I just left a very simple description here, and then I could add in a link if I wanted to. So we'll just make this go to Google for demonstration of what the link looks like and hit save. Now we can have attachments added. So if I had an actual design, I could just upload it right here. Worked beautifully. File uploaded successfully. I gotta say that WP Manage Ninja has come a long way in terms of their responsiveness and user experience. This is definitely a step up from where they have been in the past in terms of just the overall experience of using the app and having it feel smooth from start to finish. And other tools that I reviewed years and years ago, it was not this well done. So definitely a maturing company. Love to see that. We have subtasks down here. Let's add a new subtask. So I just added a couple of subtasks. I can set the dates for these. So if they have different due dates, remember I wanted this whole project done by the 15th. So maybe the next one will be the 12th. And after that, we will do the 14th, giving us a day for review. And why not? We'll add a third task there as well. Now on each of these subtasks, not only do I have a due date, but I can also assign them to a particular user. I'm clicking. Just as I complimented them, I started clicking on the user and it was not working, but it looks like that is solved now. So I can add this to a user. Now I don't have a lot of users on this particular WordPress website, so I will just add myself. And clicking on the triple dots next to it expands the menu to show me that I can edit the subtask, convert it to its own task, so that will make it its own independent card on my board, or I can delete it altogether. Let's just try all of these options out because we have enough subtasks. So first I will convert this one to a task. And there we go, it added it on the board. I can see that. So let's go to the next option, which was to edit. So if I click that, I can just edit the title here. So really no difference from just clicking on the title to edit it. Probably don't need that option in the triple dots. There's not as many features for a subtask, right? We only have a title. We don't have a description or attachments or anything like that. You would add those to the main card itself if you needed, to have more information included about the subtasks. And our last option was to delete a subtask. Let's just confirm that works well. We get a little dialog to confirm, and sure enough, it is gone with a confirmation message. All right, we have a comment section down here. Let's see if I can tag people. No tagging involved. I'll leave a comment. And a very Facebooky commenting system here. I can edit the comment after it's been posted. I can reply to it, and hopefully that goes in line. Let's see what that looks like. Yep, sure enough, it is. And there's only one level of inline replies. We can't just have this go on indefinitely. Probably a good design decision. And of course, if we regret posting something, we can click the delete button. All right, this all works pretty good. I am impressed so far. All right, let's click on the activities tab over here. It's gonna give me a timeline of everything that has happened on this card. So we get a little log, make it very clear what is happening. That's great because then you don't have workers being like, hey, I didn't see that, or they changed the status, but they claim they didn't, something like that. And the only thing we haven't seen on these cards is the right-hand sidebar. So the first one is to assign this to a CRM contact. Now I've got Fluent CRM installed on this site. I don't really have any contacts, but if I did, I could add them over here. Let me dip out. I'll just add a contact quickly. Now I'm just using the free version of Fluent CRM, so know that you don't have to buy Fluent CRM Pro. You can definitely use the free version with it. I'll give this the email address of test@example.com, create that contact. Back over to my boards. By the way, we can have more than one board. I just created the project management one, but I could add additional boards. We'll look at some more of that later on. For now, I'm gonna show you that sidebar again. So we can see how our card has been updated here. It's got the label attached to it. It has medium priority. We can see the description. Actually, not the description, the title. I'm gonna click into this. And now I can add my CRM contact, which was example. There it is. So my contact is now attached to this card, and I can see information about that contact, what their name is, what their email address is, any tags or lists they are added to inside of Fluent CRM, as well as their lifetime value. Under the action menu here, we can leave the task. We can move it to another board. So right now I only have the one board, but I can move it to a different board and put it into the correct stage and even order it. So that's pretty nice. Next up, we can watch this card. That's great if you want to follow along with a card, but you're not actually assigned to it. And then we can change the cover photo. Let's do that. Oh, it's just a cover color. All right, so no images here. I will choose blue, and you can see it updated in the background there. We can add in some custom fields, like maybe I'll do URL if I'm working on a client's website, and I'll choose text type for that. And now I've got the URL field right here. Enter that in, and it'll be saved with the card. And of course, if you use this type of setup a lot, you add a lot of custom fields, you can make it a template right here. So it says that this is a template task, create a task from the template, and then I can easily just replicate exactly the settings I currently have. I'm gonna create a new task here called using the template. We'll see what that looks like. Close this out. And here is my new task that I just created based on the template. And you can see it is identical. It has everything but the comments applied. Any attachments are there. I've got the same labels. I've got the priority level set, and even the CRM contact is still attached. So the next time you want to make a task with that same setup, you click right over here on what looks like an email, but when you click on it, it actually has your task templates. So I could create another one directly from that template. And there's an edit option here as well if you need to make a change before you create the task. All right, so far I am really liking the card system. Pretty well laid out, but I don't really like this background color. Let's see what we can do to make the look of the Kanban board just a little bit more stylish. All right, so we got this top bar up here. We're gonna go through all of that, but let's start off with the menu farthest to the right. So we've got about this board, which is gonna be a description of the board itself. This could be, here are my client tasks that I'm going to assign to you, yada, yada, yada. Then we've got board activity, which is the log of everything that's happened on the board. And the third option is what I was looking for, how to change that background. So we've got a few options here. They give you some images built in. You can upload your own, choose one of the built-in gradients, upload your own gradient. Let's see how that works. Actually, it's not to upload. That's great. We can actually just build a gradient here with CSS. So we could do a radial, a conic. I will stick with linear gradient, choose some darker colors here, maybe angle it a little differently. Have the dark color come down a little further. So very, very customizable here. Hit confirm, and there we go. My background is a lot more pleasing to look at. The cards really pop off. All right, continuing on here under change background, we have board labels. We already saw this set up in the individual cards where I added my label. I can add as many labels as I like, assign different colors to them, and edit the existing ones right here. The next option down is your board members. So this is not who is running your company. These will be people who have access to the board. It's going to be users of your WordPress website. So if you're going to use this for clients, you could have them already be members of your WordPress website. Maybe you're selling them things through the site like courses or a membership site, things like that. You'll just be able to add them right to the board. However, if you're using this maybe on its own subdomain in kind of an isolated situation, you would just invite people to that WordPress website, and then they would become users and be able to see anything on the board. You could have a board for every single client and not have the worry that, one client's going to accidentally click into another client's board and see sensitive information. I think for people who are newer to the WordPress ecosystem, you might assume that a tool like FluentBoards or other plugins, ones that come to mind would be like online course plugins, that they would have their own user management system. You want to add someone to your course, well, you'd go to the course and add a user there. Or in this case, we want to add someone to a board, we would go and add a user. But in order to do that, we actually need to add them to WordPress itself because WordPress has a great user management system. It's very extensible. You can customize it however you need. So plugins don't need to reinvent the wheel here. We're going to take advantage of everything that WordPress already has going for it. It's one of the benefits of using WordPress as your platform. There are a lot of drawbacks too, so you want to use the benefits where they exist. Okay, continuing on here, after board members, we have notification settings. Here are all of the notifications that are available to you, comments, changing of stages, being assigned a task, a due date being updated, tasks that are archived or being removed from a task. And you can toggle these all on individually. At first glance, I think this is pretty good. I think that looks pretty customizable. I don't see anything about subtasks, so it might be nice if I could have a separate toggle for subtask assignment, but probably not entirely necessary. Note, these are going to be email notifications. So every time something changes, you move a card from one stage to another, you will get an email. So set this up accordingly. The next option down is for archived items. So once we're done with a card and we archive it, we'll be able to see a list of our previous tasks here, as well as stages we may have archived. If we decide we don't want one anymore, let's say the client review, I'm no longer working with clients, I can go ahead and archive the stage. For archiving a card, very similar, click on the triple dots and then archive that task. Next up is associated CRM contacts. And what this is going to do is tell us all of the CRM contacts that are currently associated with this board. And if I click on one of the contacts, it will show me each individual card or task that has been associated with that contact. Pretty nice. Finally, we can duplicate the board, which is exactly what it sounds like, as well as delete the board. All right, there is a filtering section here. If I wanted to just see tasks that were assigned to me, I could do so. Or maybe I want to see tasks that are assigned to me that are, open. Everything else on my board is hidden. Or you just want to see high priority tasks, certain labels, pretty good filtering built in here. And next to filters is your viewing method. So by default, we're looking at Kanban boards, but maybe you're more of a list person. You can definitely put it into list view as well. Now, personally, I find these lists to be far too wide on my, this is like a 1920 by 1080 window, and this is really, really wide. I'd love to see this squished together, maybe somewhat responsive so that I can see everything inside of one container, but they're not so far apart. I can still see the different lanes here or different columns, and I can move cards between those columns. Basically, you're just kind of shifting your Kanban board to the side. Personally, don't love this view, but I'm sure it will work for some people out there. And last but not least, we've got the all-important calendar view. So if you're using this for your content calendar or for important end dates of projects, you can glance at it and see when those projects or when those deadlines are coming up. Notably, no way to integrate this into a calendar application. That would be a really cool feature if we could do a sharing link and then you could import that calendar into your Google Calendar, your Apple Calendar, whatever tool you're using. We're looking at the month view right now, but there's also a weekly view if you prefer that. And here it is with some cards on it. So you can change dates by just dragging stuff around. That's kind of cool. And by the way, these cards have start and end dates. So for example, for this task, I might want to make it start on today and have it end on the 13th. Then when I hit save and go back to my calendar view, it should probably update that here. Now it says end date the 13th and start date here is on the 8th. If we go back to our monthly view, we can see the start date and the end date here. I don't know how I feel about this. I think I would prefer if it were stretched across all of the days, kind of in a traditional calendar setup, because it's not quite as clear to me without hovering over it, whether it's a start date or an end date. So maybe if they're going to go with this approach, they should do a color system or maybe a little badge to say start date and another little badge to say end date, so I don't have to proactively hover over every item on my calendar. All right, we're going to dig into the roadmap feature very shortly here, but first I want to cover the rest of the top menu bar and just quickly blast through these. So we're looking at the dashboard here where we can see our current tasks, what it's overdue, what's already been completed, and we can jump easily into a recently opened board. Pretty nice dashboard, exactly what I'd want to do in a dashboard. Next, we can go to our board view. I already saw this. We can easily add another board if we like. We can click on the triple dots over here to import from Trello or Asana. So if you want to make the move from one of those platforms, they're trying to make it as easy as possible for you. The next tab over is your reports. Here we can see basically what's getting done, what's assigned, what needs to still be completed, a nice little overview. Now, what I'd love to see here is maybe a breakdown of tasks per user on a board. So maybe you're using it for project management and you have one person with 10 tasks assigned and another person with only one. Well, that might be an indicator that you need to rebalance the workload. Currently, no way to do that, but I do have a couple different views here. I can see it in this kind of, what do you even call this? Like a circle chart? We have a pie graph. I don't know what this kind of chart is called. If you know, drop me a comment. Now we can customize the reports to view specific boards one at a time, but there's no way to do any other further, adding your own modules or data points that are important to you. And I think that's one area that the Fluent team could really beef up this product, is allowing you some much more customizable reports. If you're going to be using this for sales pipelines or, project management, reports are very critical. And last but not least, over here, we have our settings where we can change our member roles, our general settings, so we can, set up our reminders, notification system. Basically, these will be the preferences for all of the notifications. You can change the default card views, so maybe you don't really care about those labels. You can turn those off, or the due date's not as important, so on and so forth. Now, currently, the only integrations that are supported with FluentBoards is going to be via webhook if you're not using their ecosystem of products. It does work, of course, as we've already seen with Fluent CRM, Fluent Forms, as well as Fluent Support. But if you're outside of that, you're going to need to use a webhook to get information in. All right, and the final setting will transition us perfectly into the roadmap portion, which is available right here. We can install Fluent Roadmap. So by the way, these are the features and modules. There is time tracking, a front-end portal, and a menu position. So now I have Fluent Roadmap installed. Let's go ahead and check that out. So to create a roadmap, you'll go back to the board section, choose add board, and then public roadmap. So this will be obviously a public page that other people can see. I imagine you could still protect it with a membership plugin or maybe WP Fusion, restricting access to the page. But in general, this is meant to be, external on WordPress. So let's fill this out. I gave it a title, widget roadmap, a description. Here's what's coming next to our product. And then we've got some roadmap stages, just like we used for Kanban boards. Pending, under construction, planned, and launched. I can add a new stage, I imagine, maybe not. Oh, looks like you cannot add or remove any of these stages. Very interesting. Well, we'll dig in after we actually create it. Roadmaps just came out, so this might change in the future. All right, let's save it. All right, I am on my roadmap. Now, I left it at calendar view, so I'm seeing the roadmap on calendar view. I'm gonna switch over to Kanban view. There was list mode, as you just saw. And there we go. We've got our pending, under construction, planned, and launched options. Now I've just added a couple of cards here, but what I want to do is see this on the front end. So to do that, I need to associate it with a page. And if you notice up here, there's a little eye next to the widget roadmap. When I click on this, it allows me to connect this roadmap up to a specific page. And it's going to say, copy the following shortcode and paste it to the selected page. So for the sake of doing this quickly, I'm just going to put the roadmap right on the home page. But of course, you could also just design a custom page for it. So I got my short code here. I'll go over to my pages. I open that in a new tab just to keep my roadmap up. Here's my home page. I'm going to edit it. And then I just added a container here to hold my short code, which I will use the short code block, paste it in, hit save, and let's view the page, see how this looks. No formatting at all. So it says, sorry, no feature requests found based on your filter. We can see under construction, planned, launched, and all. All right, so what I need to do first here is just add a little bit of padding, or a margin, so we're not just right up against the edge. All right, that is done. I have saved those changes. Let's look at the homepage once again. Here we go. This looks a lot better. It's still not finding my features here. It says under construction, planned, launched, and all. There's nothing there, so let's submit an idea. Now the colors and the type, everything you're seeing here in terms of style is going to be based on your theme. And I'm using a template from GeneratePress. So that's why you're seeing this color scheme here. Otherwise, it'll just adapt to what you already have on your website. Okay, so I'm going to submit this feature request. So it says, thank you for your idea. Once it's reviewed, approved for planning by our team, we will notify you by email. I wonder if I can change that because I find this just grammatically kind of difficult to understand. So let's go back to our ideas, see what it looks like here. So it doesn't show up by default. I'm going to go back to the back end here and it says, make this look great. Okay, so these are pending. And here it says admin only. Okay, that makes sense. So if I wanted these to be public, there's little cards up here. Excellent. All right, very, very clear on the back end. I can move these around and I should see one in each column now. So no saving, this just updates automatically. We'll go back to the site. Of course, I needed to refresh the page, but in terms of editing the actual board here, I didn't need to do anything. So here is the homepage, and this looks great. So we've got our tabs, under construction, planned, launched, and then I can see the actual task. I can click into it, leave a comment if I want, and if it looks good, I can upvote it. There we go. I've upvoted it. Can I do it again? I can't. So if I click it twice, it takes away the original click. All right, excellent. You can't downvote things, so that's interesting. Maybe it'd be cool to have upvoting and downvoting. Keep a separate tally. Things like that could be interesting for, especially if you're doing actual roadmaps and you want to see, well, some people want this, but other people vehemently do not. You might want to gather that information as well. Now this styling here does not look like it's being pulled in from the theme. So I wonder if there's a way to change that. I mean, I think the typography probably is, but in terms of like the button color here or this purple, probably doesn't go with anything else on this site. So let's see how we can tweak this visually on the front end. Now, in terms of the roadmap itself, we have all of the settings we saw on the project management Kanban system I set up. You can change the background color, you can add members, attach it to CRM contacts, so on and so forth. But I don't see any options for the public view. So that leads me to believe you're probably just going to need to hard code some CSS in order to get that to be stylistically how you want. Not the end of the world if you know a little bit of CSS, but it probably would go a long way with a lot of users to just have a few color selection or size selection options available on that public page. They might be there. I don't see them right now, and I've looked. There are some roadmap settings. If we go back over to settings on the top menu bar here, you can see there's a roadmap option here where we can basically just restrict things a little bit. So users need to be logged in to submit an idea. Users need to be logged in to add a comment. Users need to be logged in to vote on an idea. Now, I would recommend turning all of those on, and I think they should honestly be the default settings. And if you want to have a public board, like truly public board, you would make the effort to go in and uncheck those. But as it is, I don't see any way to change that confirmation message when I was submitting my idea or those colors. So the roadmap is brand new. Like I mentioned, I'm sure those features will arrive at some point. I've not talked to their team about that, but I'm sure they will. They're, obviously they've got their stuff together. The rest of the plugin is very impressive. Okay, so what is left to mention? A few things. First of all, if you want to get rid of this pesky sidebar, there is a full screen mode here. I would definitely like that. Now we look, a lot more like Trello. There's also some pretty good search built in here with a key command. You can press Command K and it's going to pop open a little search. I'm going to search for the word template and it's going to show me using the template card that I created earlier in the video, and I can click right into it. Now, what is missing from this plugin other than what I've already mentioned throughout the video? First of all, automations. That is absolutely essential for a lot of power users coming from Asana or other platforms. Even the free version of Trello, you can have certain power-ups added that will allow you to take action when something happens to a card, like moving from one column to another, or if a certain task is completed, maybe it creates another task. Automations are really critical for any sort of very, very repetitive content management, project management. I would love to see an automation system built into FluentBoards. Currently, we just have templates, which are cool, but they're definitely not automations. Another thing I'd love to see added to the roadmap section is the ability to limit how many votes someone has. So if you have a roadmap and you add 30 items to it, well, I want a user to pick their favorite one or favorite 3. So it'd be great to have a selector where I can say every user of certain status level gets 3 votes. And if they're of another user type, and you can just use the default WordPress user system for this. So customers get 2 votes per month or 2 votes per year, and administrators can have unlimited, or whatever. You get the idea here. Just have a system where I can limit those votes, and someone can't just vote on every single item, because that doesn't really tell you anything, does it? Overall, I'm very impressed with FluentBoards, especially given that it's only been on the market for a few months. I think it's going to be an outstanding product in the future. If it had those automations, I would be all over it for my team. But given its current status, I'm going to give it a 7.8. Very impressive and a bright future ahead for sure. If you have any questions about FluentBoards, I got anything wrong, if features you'd like to see, definitely drop me a comment down below. Love to engage with you and talk more about the Fluent ecosystem. My name is Dave, by the way. If you don't know who I am, check out clientamp.com. We've got premium courses there, free content. All of the stuff I post on YouTube gets turned into articles over on clientamp.com, and I also have an email newsletter. And hey, you can even hire me to work directly in your business if you like. That's going to do it for this video. Again, if you want to support the channel, I've got links down below. If FluentBoards isn't for you, you can check out AppSumo. There's tons of great lifetime deals over there as well. I'll put my link for AppSumo down below also. All right, that's all for today. I will see you in the next review.